G'day, mate. Welcome back to Friday Facts. I've got 301, I've got the crash site with the first date, and I've got a Mojo. Hey, mate.
Hello.
So, we're getting to look at the very, very first, I guess, redo of the crash site. So, that's going to be the introduction to the new player experience, the scenario, the campaign. Well, actually, they say the campaign, so maybe it's just the campaign part, not the new player experience tutorial, demo.
That was a question I had. Is this replacing the new player experience part, or is it replacing the campaign part?
Well,
not entirely clear.
I think they're going with two things. I think they're going for like a new player experience tutorial and demo. So the free demo, you can download that, play through a tutorial, get a concept of the game, which we've already looked at. And then this is for the actual campaign. But then further on, they mentioned that it's gone out and it can be play tested. And they didn't really specify whether it's open playtest or closed playtest or So anyway, we've got new graphics because that's basically what the graphics department has been focused on, replacing some of the placeholder graphics that we've seen a crash site. It's in one of the early scenarios that we've got currently.
It was in the old demo and campaign.
Yes.
Crash sites.
Yes. And they're pretty boring, actually. I think even in the new demo and new player experience thing, there is a crash site that you can open up and steal stuff out of its inventory. But yeah. So the first thing they do was solve the concept of the crash site. So we've got a brand new crash site. It looks entirely different than anything else Factorio, being the DIY diesel punk sort of reality of the game. But the idea is that you've crashed with futuristic tech, and then you're scrambling and ripping apart parts to make what you make in the game, which is a little bit more, I guess, run down and basic. Compared to what the spaceship looks like. So, we have the spaceship itself, which, when I first saw it, I just thought back to Avengers Endgame and the ship that Tony Stark's stuck on with the big glass window at the front, and him sitting there, and I'm like, yep. Somebody watched Avengers when they decided to design that front window. It just stuck with me. So there's a couple of things in the image, and we're going to go through them bit by bit. So the concept is the medium spaceship broke into pieces and it crash landed. It lost many of its components, and during the introduction, the player can then take these components and repair them and use them for profit. They say it's design of the 60s and 70s pulp fiction sci-fi, and I don't see it. I don't feel it.
Well, it does have a bit of a Star Wars sort of look to it, if you imagine them being white instead of yellow.
Yeah. I don't know, Star Wars was later than that, wasn't it?
Late 70s.
Late 70s through the 80s, yeah.
I think it was 79, 78 or 79.
I don't know, I just see it, I'm like, okay, Guardians of the Galaxy, their ship, done. That's what I see. Which is way out of the 70s and the 80s.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
There's another movie or TV show, I can't remember, that I can picture having a similar sort of look. I've been trying to think of what it is. I can't remember it.
I don't know, like, I'm even thinking like June, which is 84, I want to say, maybe a little bit earlier.
The movie, or because the books are older. Actually, the books are
really, really old. I'm thinking the
ancient.
movie itself. Even then, they're Star Wars style. They're big, they're square, they're bulky. Yeah, this has got a lot of curves in it. It's more modern. I don't know. But yeah, it's part of the concept. All the machines that player built are based on existing technology from his home planet. So the machines that we see in a regular game are like cheap versions of the original one. So we have for the lab, they keep the dome shape and beams inside in order to keep the consistency with a regular laboratory, so slowly the player gets used to the meaning of the shapes. I thought that was the cockpit, but obviously the spaceship flies around with a lab on the front of it.
Apparently, yeah.
Apparently, yep.
But then, I mean, there's this broken up pieces of a much bigger ship, so it makes sense that it's some kind of research vessel.
Well, it says the concept is the big, in brackets, medium spaceship broke into pieces as it landed. So I'm going to take this as a medium ship with a bigger ship to be found later, or crash later, or I don't know.
Potentially.
Potentially, yep. And then we've got the generator, which is similar to a substation more or less. Connected like a pole, but also produces electricity. Sometimes we really have to invent. So I'm going to assume it works like a substation. Anything within this range magically gets power through the magic power that is Factorio. But
Is
it
that
does.
a red and green wire connection?
It's definitely got a red one and an orange one off the top.
I wonder if you can automate it.
I wonder if it's like, well, it produces power and moves power. So to move power, that would be a substation or a power pole or something like that. Generators you can't hook up to wires. So I assume it would act like a power pole and just be able to transfer a signal rather than automate it. But to me, it doesn't look anything like a substation. Maybe an accumulator with the sparks across the top?
I think they mean substation as in it has an area of effect, like a substation.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, it's... I don't know. I don't mind the picture of this one. Actually, I think because I actually see it in motion here, whereas up the top it's a still image. Actually, no, you are right. In the first image, there is definitely a green... That third spire has a bit of green wire on it.
Yeah.
But you don't really see it in the animation with things moving. But there's also an orange wire. We could have a third type of wire. No, third type of wire. Don't spoil my fun.
Well, there already is 3 types of wires going into a pole or substation.
Okay, you got a point. All right.
Yeah, my unrelenting, faultless logic.
Yeah, I know. And then the last one we have, it looks like an assembly... this works like an assembly machine. The design is more based on the yet unshown redesign of the assembly machines rather than the actual classic ones. I really hope that the new assembly machines look something like this, because this looks awesome. This looks like it actually does something, whereas the current ones with the gears on top, especially with alt mode on, you can't see what the hell they're doing. You can't see whether they're running or not.
Yeah, this one doesn't have any wind. This one's a bit more obvious what is going on, whereas the current one, I think the ongoing complaint is that there's too much intricate detail going on. Lots of little gears and arms and cams moving. Like big, like this thing has this giant piston moving up and down, and several other things moving up and down.
And as soon as you turn on alt mode, you can't see any of that fine detail unless you zoom right the way in.
You can only ever see that fine detail if you turned off alt mode and were zoomed all the way in. It's true of pretty much all detail in the game, as most of it you can't see.
Yeah.
Unless you zoomed in.
Now, I do notice that the animated one down here, we can see that piston moves up and down on the far right-hand side. But on the still image, neither of these two assembly machine-looking things actually have that piston. So I'm guessing this is a crash site and we need to provide resources into this to repair them, to get them up and running, to actually start producing items. Because they're missing that extra bit.
The composite image is a composite image of earlier versions of the artwork before they were animated.
That's true too, because the devs have never ever done that to us before. Yeah. And then we have the last two. These cylinders are like chests. We decided to make them cylindrical instead of a box for difference in the technology level that we were speaking about earlier. The player is taught to recognize the design and shape, and they also will always have a number printed on them. So this one's got 79, and this one breaks the always has a number printed on it line. And they clearly march. You really don't want to know the meaning of the numbers, which everybody has asked on the forums and in Reddit. What's the meaning of the numbers? And
nothing picks up people's attention other than saying you don't want to know.
Yeah, it's like if you want to get people's attention, say you can't have a cookie, and suddenly everybody wants a cookie. It's yeah. I'm going with 79 is Co-Rex's year of birth. That's what I'm going with. It's probably something boring and mundane.
Probably. I'm because of because of the wording. It's leading to me to think it's an elaborate troll, or it could be a reference to where the art style comes from, some obscure reference.
Yeah, like either or. I don't know. I'm just going with like the devs. They're about the same age as we are. I obviously know what year I was born. Yeah, 79 is possible.
Plausible.
Yeah. So all this new content is working in progress. We made these new entities for testing the campaign. Based on feedback with testers, we'll have a chance to tweak whatever, adapt whatever is necessary. So I would like to be a tester. Can I put up my hand to be a tester, please? I really want to. This is what I've been really interested in. The whole campaign for a long time. They Are Billions just brought out a campaign which is like the classic like 90s RTS, where you play through level 1 to play onto level 2, you unlock technology slowly as you go, all that sort of stuff. I love that type of gameplay. It's actually been missing from a lot of games for a lot of years, and I'm really hoping Factorio does the same, where they bring you in a campaign where map 1 leads on a map 2, leads on a map 3, you slowly work up through your tech, and then map 4 is, I don't know, a completely new map somewhere else on the planet. Rather than just expanding the map further and giving you more quests and objectives to complete. So
you can thank Minecraft for that, because when Minecraft dropped, everybody decided that open world sandboxes were the way to go.
Yeah, like open world sandboxes work great for tycoon games.
You still need objectives though. It's not a substitute for an objective.
No, it's not. The tycoon games, like even 2 Point Hospital, which is like a laughing joke of a game right from square one, it has a campaign that you can play through. You can just jump in a sandbox and play sandbox if you want. But there is a campaign that you can work through.
Until you get to Duckworth upon Bilge. I think it was Duckworth.
I don't know. I got halfway through it and then started playing other games and meant to go back and still haven't got there yet. But they do say that the next round of the crash site is the main crash spaceship. And some other assets that converts the scene into a full composition are more proper for the introduction of the game. So we're going back to this is a small spaceship. And there's more spaceship to come.
Yeah, so the guess was right.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wonder is that if these assembly machines power things and this lab thing are super duper versions of your regular.
So have faster speed?
In theory, they would be the super duper versions, because what you craft in the game are meant to be ghetto versions, fabric cobbled versions of the labs and the power.
Yeah, like I really think for the early game to get players through quickly, having a lab that burns packs really, really quickly, a generator that
research is like 10 times better or something.
Yeah.
Just putting a number to
a generator that produces just like stupid amounts of power, so you just don't have to worry about it early game. Great idea. An assembly machine that produces super fast. I'm trying to think like copper wire comes out fast enough, gears come out fast enough. It's more the feed in situation.
And that's you need things like inserters or loaders for that.
Well, they were talking in a previous Friday Facts about the magic of a loader-like item that just puts things into a machine. It's mainly the output. Like Red Science is 6 seconds at half crafting speed, which is what the Red Assembler does. Is 12 seconds. It's a long time. If you fed things in and this ran at 12 times what a Red Assembler runs at, so they came out in 1 per second, that's reasonable. Yeah, I can see that. For cable and gears, not so much, because it's a feed-in problem. But instant crafting or close to, with a space-age tech version, wouldn't be such a bad idea. I agree.
It fits the setting.
It does.
With a new player experience.
And it means that you're not waiting for the automation to happen. The automation happens just about instantly, and it's more about the player gathering the resources, which is what a lot of people are used to. They're used to, like, everything in Minecraft crafts basically instantly, or it is instantly. So, you know, it's
or it randomly explodes if you put the wrong ingredient in.
Yeah, I think, gosh, I don't deal with Minecraft. But yeah, it's about gathering the resources. That's the part that players are used to things taking time. Whereas in Factorio, you automate the gathering of resources, so it doesn't actually take any time. It's normally you're waiting around for stuff to craft early game. So yeah, that's maybe not a bad idea. Have it be super, super fast to craft things. But then we go on to our seedings. Mods do crazy things. So he's heard it many times. I said to myself, if only, it's only, and there aren't a lot of them in the game, so it should be fine. And then mods come along and bring a slap of reality. If a mod can do something, a mod will do something, which is pretty much one of the things we love about the modding community in Factorio. That if you put out a request for something, it's probably going to happen.
Similar could be said for most modding communities in general.
Yeah, some of them are a little bit malicious and go through and try to just break the game because they can.
Yeah.
But it's something that was pointed out on Reddit that I'll go through when we get through this. But yeah, the other week I got a bug report that the game was using a large amount of memory, took an excessive amount of time to exit. After reading over the bug report, had my theories about what might be happening, but first he needed to reproduce it. He failed a few times. He finally got the correct set of mods and modded settings to make it happen. And to his surprise, not really, because it's always not what you think it is. He got a small problem with the sprites in the game. So the game creates a package of sprites for every variation of the biters, the spitters, the worms, all that sort of stuff. And in the base games, worms have multiple directions with multiple animations for each direction. The base game creates 7,000 sprites per worm. There aren't a lot of them in the game, so it should be fine. The base game has 4 worms: small, medium, large, behemoth. And the mod was asking the game to make 3,000 of them, not 4 of them. So the base game makes 188,000 sprites.
188,000, yes.
Sprites. That's just loading the game. That's the generating sprites.
That's all sprites overall, just for base game.
Yeah.
Base mod.
Which took 1.281 seconds from launch to the main menu. This on
our seedings, 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
NVMe SSD and 9900 XC, I think, or 900K.
Oh, I think he had an SE, because I know he posted the specs somewhere, and it was a several $1,000 CPU.
Yeah.
I've got a 9900K, which is like relatively, well, actually they're the top of the line currently, and his CPU still lives, and mine for dead. It's one of those special edition top of the line blah 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 CPUs. But yeah, 245 meg idling on the main menu and 0.1 seconds to exit the game. So it is dump all the RAM, release it back into the main memory, all that sort of stuff. The mod is 41 million sprites to get to the main menu.
It's a small increase.
Yeah, tiny. 47.3 seconds from launch to the main menu, which is...
That's pretty much what most people would experience launching the game normally.
Yes. On a normal machine, well, actually, my Factorio launches in probably 10 seconds. It's definitely not 1.2. I can say that for sure.
Mine launches in like 10 seconds. It's only when you change mods that it kicks off.
Yeah, so I'm not using the cache option, so I'm regenerating the sprites each time. Because there is a setting in the ini file that you have to go digging for. Mojo will know it off the top of his head, where you can have it cache the sprites from the last launch, and as long as you don't change the mods or update or anything, it just loads in 1.2 seconds almost.
Yes.
But yeah, 15.7 gig with Factorio idling on the main menu. That's
So they haven't even loaded a world yet, which is going to add even more to that.
Look, adding a world at that stage, a brand new tiny little world start map, it's going to add like 200 meg. It's nothing. It's when you start expanding and exploring, you're going to start adding several gigabytes very, very quickly.
Or you could load your Race to the Edge map.
Yeah, that's a 500 meg save, I want to say, and 16 gig to load the map.
Yeah, so now you're at 48.
Yeah. Well, it's free of biters, so that... Oh, actually, no. The last...
Actually, 48? At least 32 to 48.
Yeah, at least 32
there's other
gig.
stuff going on. Because it's got to expand some other stuff.
Yeah, at least 32 gig to load the map, and there are some biters and some worms still on that. You won't have behemoths, at least, because it was in version 16. So yeah, you're talking like... Yeah, at least probably 48 to 60 gig of RAM to load Factorio. That's horrible. But the one that really got me is 47 seconds to exit the game.
Yeah, that's the eye opener there.
Yeah. That's like, force exit, crash the task in Explorer. It would still take you 47 seconds just to rewrite all that RAM to be available again. Because that's what it's actually doing. It's not saving data. It's not doing that. It's just trying to say, hey, this RAM is now free that the computer can use it again.
So, of course, that is immediately indicating, there's some optimization to be had exiting the game.
Yeah, which is literally what RCD does. So, he went through, he fixed a few other bugs, and he reduced the time and the complexity of destroying the sprites by a significant amount. Found that they just, and they found a lot of the stuff that Factorio was doing, it just wasn't needed. So on the bright side, optimizations for everybody, including if you're running stupid mods. So we went from 41 million sprites down to 23 million sprites. So not quite half RCD. You could probably go and trim some more time off that. 47 seconds to launch, down to 37 seconds. So I'm a little bit disappointed. It's what, a 20% increase in speed?
It's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's almost half as many sprites. You've dropped one number by 50% almost, and you've only dropped the next number by just 20% or 22-ish. But he has dropped the RAM from 15 gig down to 5 gig. That's at least acceptable.
And the exit time's almost non-existent now.
Yeah, like 3 seconds to exit Factorio. I'm pretty sure everybody can accept that. Even at 23 million sprites to launch the main menu. But it came up on Reddit and actually on the forums as well. 2 separate people posted, and I love that. It was like, other devs, Ubisoft or any other dev. It's like, no, it's fine. The modders will fix our game and optimize it for us. Whereas Woob's like, somebody released a mod that made our game slower. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go fix our game to let the mod work better.
Admittedly, the mod in question is actually rampant, so there's only so much you can do to make that mod better.
Oh, is it? Okay, I didn't know what mod it was.
Yeah, it's actually rampant.
Wow.
They actually put some dumb settings into it.
Yeah, Rampant has... It's a great little mod. It's just got a few problems and has done for as long as I remember playing with it. So since version
13, for as long as I remember the mod being around, it's been a problem.
It chews RAM. It does make biters definitely very, very interesting, but it chews RAM. It crashes occasionally. It's had problems with multiplayer.
And you know why it chews RAM?
Yeah, now we know why. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think that's it for this Friday Facts. Unless you got anything else to add?
Nope, that's it.
That's it. So Rampant, great mod. Just go find yourself lots of RAM and go get a cup of coffee when you launch the game. And good news, you can now close it quickly. Anyway, that's it from us. Thank you guys for watching. As always, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.